Roman Rudin, strange occurrence in the region of the heart. So let's flick over to our story today. So here we go. So last week we started this story, a Turkish middle game. We read this page and the following page, and we're going to do the last 3 pages today, hopefully. So let's give you a quick recap of what happened last time. So it's titled A Turkish Middle Game. And I think it was Michael pointed out that the middle game might be a reference to the game of chess, the board game chess. And that does make a lot of sense as we've read the story. That really fits in. The other quick thing I want to say is, if I bring up this phrase here, magical realism. I think that helps us a little bit to understand the way the story is written. So some things in this story are magical, and some bits in this story are real. So it's people talking to each other. That's real, isn't it? But other bits of it are magical. In other words, sort of things that don't really happen in real life. That's what magical is in this sense. So anyway, the whole story seems to be set it starts out saying Mediterranean Riviera, but actually it's the Turkish version of the Mediterranean Riviera. So and I would assume that they're Russians, because I think a lot of Russians go to the to go to Turkey, and the writer Roman Rudin is known to be Russian, unless I'm mistaken. So anyway, he's on holiday, probably with his family, it seems, and he gets talking to somebody there, um, and it's a strange conversation because they don't actually mention each other's names. And at one point, he promises not to divulge the other persons he's talking to, their identity. So that for that reason, I suppose, they don't seem to mention each other's names. One of the guys has a daughter. His name is Eva, and really they end up walking together back home, it would seem, um, um, and they talk about books and writers because both of them appear to be authors. One seems to be very well known, and I think one of them is a poet or writes poetry. My poems, it says here. So let's flick over the page. Hopefully that will remind me of what happened at this point here. And there comes a point, I think, where they seem to be coming up with writers who are the most important. Perhaps it's 10 different writers are the most important. And in a way, it's almost as if they're coming up with pieces on a chessboard, that each writer is a new piece on a chessboard. Perhaps this writer might be the rook, another writer might be the queen. And at one point, he does say, "Who is going to be your queen?" And I think that's obviously a reference to, I think, game chess. And so these are a couple of the names here. So Tolstoy and Chekhov are famous, very famous Russian writers and story writers. Um, It mentions here the Silver Age, and we discovered last time that that was a period in the in Russian in the in Russian writing, where perhaps from the 1800s to the early part of the 1900s, which was perhaps a golden age, not necessarily a silver age, perhaps a second golden age of Russian writers. They seem to be down on the Nobel laureates, almost as if you win a Nobel Prize, it means you shouldn't really be included in this almost chessboard of excellent writers. Okay, so maybe if we maybe if we read from here onwards, if we haven't done this bit before, I think we have actually with some of you. So if I read this little bit here, and then I hand over to Michael. Is that okay, Michael? And you read from the next page. The next page would be here. If I just turn over the page and you read from here. We haven't read this bit before, have we? Am I going wrong here? Maybe we have with one or two of you, I think, but not the whole class. So I'll read this bit here as a little bit of an introduction, and then we'll get going. Well, so here they're still sorting, still trying to sort out their sort of the top 10 of best Russian writers. So here we go. So, well, you've set the boundaries for yourself quite narrowly. Is it worth keeping such a tight rein on our brothers? When he says brothers, he means our brother writers. That's my understanding. Our brothers, though. The enthusiast of long epic prose will be hard-pressed to find 10 great novels written by writers born in the 20th century, even if chosen very indulgently. All the same, our craft is a rare one, and the muses have largely moved on to rock and roll and cinematography. So this last line here, when he's saying our craft is a rare one, our craft here, he's really referring to writing as a craft. So all the same, our craft, writers or writing, is a rare one, to a good quality, I imagine. And the muses have largely moved on to rock and roll and cinematography. So when he says muses, he's really saying that everyone's interest and the money has moved over to rock and roll and films. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully that's a little bit of an introduction to the story. If we flick over the page, we'll read today's bit. So over to you, Michael, if that's okay.
Okay.
And as usual, over to you then.
10 even. Give me some examples so I can counter them. Perhaps I could suggest Andrei Belly. Heavens above, making the whole city a hero of our time, and then sending it off to the war. Yes, those wounds are still bleeding. Let's not talk about the war. Let's talk about style, about the metaphorical. Let's jump over the second row on. Let's jump over the second row to the first. What do you think of Bulhakov? Or are you tired of that era? We found ourselves again on a broad stone road and walked side by side, illuminate, illum, il- illumined
Mhm.
again, this word, by a crescent moon and Sirius under it. No, no, he's sort of outside of time. Though I sometimes think that all Ivan Blagoy's trials and tribulations, all the events that followed the meeting with a stranger on a bench near the water, just like us, my companion chuckled. I glanced at him. His profile didn't seem sinister to me. But you and I know each other. Though it's true you are a foreigner. But I am reluctant to see the entire story as anything other than a justification for the master's headlong rush towards hell. Yes, nowadays people seem to use the fashionable word escapism for it, but in those days it led to such consequences. Well, who else? Perhaps we've exhausted the first row, unless you want to include Boomin. Before that, there was Guy de Maupassant, though, to be fair, he didn't write any novels. I see you are having fun going through the great authors starting with B. It was the easy thing to do. You're right, the great and mighty Russian language has exhausted itself, he said before asking me in English. What would you say of those who considered Russian not their only mother tongue?
Right. Very good. Really good. I suspect you've read this before somehow. Very
Yeah,
good. So anything you want to ask about there? Anything that's
Illu, illum, illumined.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You've got it. Illumined. Yeah, illumined. Yeah, you don't. We don't often use that word in that way, but that's correct. That's it. You've got it. Illumined. We don't normally just
Illuminated.
put the. Sorry. Yes. So
No,
it
very
means
often,
lit. It's sort of a past tense of kind of lit, isn't it? Really. Anything else?
yeah. Mhm.
Anything else at all?
I don't know exactly. Maybe pronunciation of the word, not world.
Very overall, this is really very, very good, I thought. So I think you missed out the TS at the end of this. It sounded to me like a Ven, evens, something like evens maybe. So just
Events,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, just a slip of the tongue, really. Events, that's that. It's, nothing substantial, really. Um, what else, if anything? Something I don't know. The word foreigner. There we go. Yes. So Uh, yeah, just the slightly. I think the R sound in the middle maybe. So we just say sort of foreigner. Do you want to just say that a couple of times maybe? Foreigner, foreigner.
foreigner,
Oh,
foreigner,
yeah, spot on. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. M Maybe escapism. So that we say escapism, escapism.
escapism,
Yes.
escapism.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's really good. So when we say escapism, what do you take that to mean? What does it mean to you, maybe?
It's originally from word escape.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
When you try to avoid something, avoid of
Yeah.
some trouble to try
Yeah,
to
exactly. Yes, that's
go
exactly it.
away or another place. The trouble.
Probably everyone is doing a little of escapism in some area of their lives, right? Even right now, I think. You weren't too sure about this word here at the end of that half sentence there. So you okay now with it, you think?
Yeah, era,
Yeah, that's what the Brits say. I think the
not
Americans say it the other way. So era and era. Yeah, that's it. So we say era. That's it. You've got it. Brits say
era.
era, but the Americans say it the other way. That's really good. Nothing for me to say there, really. Do you have any comments about the meaning of the story, the little bit you just read here, or what it's really getting at, or the people who mentioned it, like Buhakov and Bunin? Anything about these guys at all? Oh,
Yes,
this
it
chap.
was a yeah.
So this is a French chap, but this I don't know him really, but I believe he only wrote short stories, which is basically what it says here. Though to be fair, he didn't write any novels. That's true. I think he just wrote short stories. A French guy. So so in English that name looks like we say that as Guy in English, but the French say it as Guy, Guy. Just that first name there. So you're going to say something? I think I interrupt you a little bit, Michael. Sorry.
No, no, no. It's I don't know. They talked about talking about they're talking about some writers. Yeah, it's famous Bunin and Volhaka with famous writers in Russian and Ukraine.
So, what is it about the letter B then? How come so many of them start with the letter B? Was that just accidental by chance? Because there was Bieli or Belly up here,
Bele, Volhaka, yeah, Bunin,
yeah, and Bunin, and there may have been another
Blagoy,
one on the previous page. I can't remember now.
Blagoy also.
Oh yeah, Blakui. But I'm not convinced this guy's even a writer. I don't know who he is. I don't know. Okay, yeah, it's a B though, isn't it? Hmm. Maybe just accidental, I suppose. Does anyone have any questions about this here, this little bit here? Does it all make sense to you? So it says, let's jump over the first row to the second. That's why I tend to, I'm wondering if this is two rows, just as you have two rows of pieces on a chessboard. But he is talking about just 10 writers, 10 even. So, but there isn't just 10 on a chessboard. I forget how many there is. It's 16, I think, on each side. I don't remember now. So it's not the exact representation. So, okay.
I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know. Great authors starting with B. I don't know. You asked me about letter B.
mm,
If it's related with chess, in chessboard, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Also, some squares, it's
mm.
some letters meaning
That's
A, B,
interesting.
C.
Yeah. So there's a B on the chessboard as well. You're saying.
Maybe it's if, but usually it's B7, B2. It's
Mm.
like pawn to square B3, for example, or
So what piece would be on the B squares? Is it the bishop? There's
no,
There'd
no,
be a rook,
it's
maybe a pawn at the front, wouldn't there, and a bishop behind, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But the rook, did you say? Oh,
mm,
well, bear that in mind, maybe. I don't have any answers. I mean, you might. Hopefully, you guys know the answers. Okay, so we've done this one here. Then there doesn't seem to be many questions. So we could
no
always come back
B.
to this page. Do you have anything else to say, or
No, no, I haven't.
okay?
What?
So we looked at era, illumined. And the ed sound is slightly unusual here to say illumined. We might say illuminated. That's more normal in everyday language. We say illumined in this past tense way is a little bit odd, but it's just a classic way of in writing how that might be said. Um, so it ends here with the crescent moon and Sirius, and Sirius is the brightest star at night. So, who is the brightest star I don't know, what does that really mean? The brightest writer, perhaps? So, then we looked at foreigner, the word foreigner, escapism, and I think actually the word use as well. Um, yeah, I think it missed a little bit of some of the sound in there. So, to use the fashionable word, to use. And
To
also
use.
events, wasn't it? Events was there somewhere, wasn't it? I think. Maybe somewhere. Okay, so let's scroll over then. So, Ruslan, I think it's your go now, if that's okay.
Okay.
Over to you, Ruslan.
I'm sorry, I don't know any foreign languages. I prefer those writers that have been translated into my native tongue.
Hmm.
There is an entire uh, cast, cosm of stars these days. That is true, an entire chasm, but if you follow the criteria laid down, you can find room for them here too. Well, give some examples, then, so I can try and counter them. How about Kafka? Didn't you Uh, didn't you devour the story of land Servia in one night? Of course, that goes without saying. I can see you are captivated by the era. Absolutely not. What do you think about the antipodes? About who? I pointed toward the ground. My interlocutor was confused for a few seconds. Oh, you mean those? Yes, of course, where everyone walks around upside down. Which of the Latin Americans do you particularly like? Marquez, I suppose. It rained for years. 11 months and 2 days. I don't know why you felt the need to divide it. That work into parts, pages, paragraphs. It does not even need any punctuation marks, as it's one mad, unending spiral. Well, I wouldn't object if you were to mention the Borges and Corteza. However, you have you have upset up your best card. What are you going to do now with the game far from over? Are you very difficult to emulate? Here I addressed him by his name, which I promised not to divulge, and he politely bowed his head without realizing I had just softened the blue of my next move. It uh, it concerns the middle game in particular, but I was thinking that he hadn't got there yet, so I just moved the Knicks and Bishops forward. Is it so? Uh, Other rocks and the Queen's next. I'm all yours. Don't laugh. It is Anglicism. Yes, one of them even writes in English. Uh, Rushdie.
Hmm.
Rushdie.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
that's it. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So yeah, so this is the name. This last bit here, that's the name of a writer.
Oh,
He's an English
okay.
writer. I had to think for a second there. It's normally pronounced as Rushdie. Rushdie.
Ah, Rushdie.
It's a surname
Okay.
that one is. And the book he wrote was this. The name of it is right there. Actually, he's famous for this particular book here, the Satanic Verses. He's absolutely famous for that. Satanic Verses. He's an English writer, and he there was an attempt on his life, and I think someone stabbed him, but they stabbed him in his eye, and so he's blind in that eye now. And that was a couple of years ago only. That just happened relatively recently. Okay, that's a little story there. So, anything you want to ask about that, or anything interesting about that there? The bit you've read,
Yes, I would like to
a few words.
ask about pronunciation and meaning of some words.
Okay, go for
Yeah,
it.
let's start. Mm, how about there is an entire chasm, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit odd that word. Yeah, so we pronounce it as chasm, chasm.
Chasm. Yeah,
Chasm, and it
chasm.
sort basically means something like a hole in the ground normally, but a particularly big one with perhaps things falling into it. Let's bring the dictionary up so it comes up with. So, a deep fissure in the earth's surface. So a fissure is like a big crack in the earth's surface. And they're saying figuratively, a profound difference between people. So between a wealthy people and poor people, as it says here, actually, you might say there's a big chasm between the wealthy people and the poor people. That's a good,
Okay,
that's
okay.
one way of using it.
It is, yeah, we can say that different level, yeah, if we are talking about
Yeah,
people.
yeah. So, but the
Okay,
way he uses the word here, it doesn't quite work for me. I don't really know what he's saying. There's an entire chasm of stars these days. So what does that mean? A chasm of stars? I
yeah,
don't quite get
entire,
that.
it
Yeah.
is means endless, yeah, entire and endless, probably.
A tie, you might say the entire of something is all of it. So if I said the entirety of all the people living on Earth, the entirety of the people on
Okay,
Earth, it means all of the people. Another way of referring to all of the people, a whole, as it says
okay,
there, the whole of something.
yes, got, oh, yeah, didn't you do
Oh, yes. So I remember that word.
a
So,
little bit
yeah, there it is
top,
there. So
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So devour, devour. So if you
devour, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, devour. So if you've not eaten all day and you come home, you might devour your meal when you do get in, perhaps. You're really hungry.
uh,
That was gorgeous, that meal. Thank you so much. I devoured that. It was lovely. So it's just eating it really quickly and enjoying it, I suppose. Woofing it down quickly.
okay, okay,
You might
devour.
say the dinosaur devoured the human, something like that.
Okay, and land of survive, survive,
Oh yes,
survival.
so this is about the writer. So this came up before, didn't it? So Franz Kafka, he's that writer from he wrote in German, but I think he was Czech or something, or he didn't come from Germany, but he wrote in the German language. He's famous, absolutely famous. Oh yeah, so he's Czech. Franz Kafka, he died in about 1924. One of the stories he wrote was I think it was called Land Surveyor no, I'm not sure what it was called now. It may have been called Land Surveyor K. That was the story. And again, I think in the story you never find out what the guy's name is. He's just referred to as K. Just as in this story we're reading now, we never really find out what the guy's names are. So there's always some sort of parallel in these stories. Very strange. So it I know the story was about the Castle family, spelt with a C, and that's also a K, of course. It might be the same family, don't know. The Castle. It might have been called The Castles. The book might have been called The Castles. But one of the main characters is this guy called Land Surveyor K. So that's that bit there then. So surveyor. If someone's a surveyor, it's a job that it's quite well paid. You go out normally and you survey the land to see is it suitable to put a building on it. And you take measurements, you measure the land, how far it is, and you put in markers on the ground to see where the building's going to go. That's what a surveyor does. Anything else there? If
Think,
that makes sense.
yeah. Uh,
That one maybe.
antipodins.
Not far off.
I,
We normally say Antipodeans. Antipodeans.
antipodins.
So
What does
an
it
then
mean?
tip. The people who live on the other side of the earth. So the
Oh,
anti means the other side, really. People live on the other side of Earth. So when we're in Britain, we tend to think of the people who live on the other side of the Earth as being the Australians. Australians.
okay,
And
okay,
if you live
okay,
in America, they think the people who live on the other side of the earth are the Chinese. And
okay.
here, I think they're saying that for the Russians, assuming we're talking about Russia here, they think the people who live on the other side of the earth are the Latin Americans. I think that's fascinating.
Uh,
So if you think about it, the other
mm,
side of the earth is always going to be different from depending on where you are.
mm.
Okay, so over to you. Anything else?
Yes, next page.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm, mm. How about emulate to to
Oh,
emulate? Yes,
so emulate. We say emulate in English.
emulate,
That's it.
emulate.
Emulate.
Yeah, it
And
is like imagine or no?
not far off. It's more that if you emulate something, you're trying to be like them, or this thing is trying to be similar to that thing, whatever it is. Does that make sense? Um,
Say it again,
you are,
please.
you, if I'm trying, if it's something, let's bring, oh, I've got the dictionary. Let's bring the dictionary up. So I keep forgetting. They're saying verb with object, match or surpass a person or achievement. Typic,
Ah,
So by imitation, typically by imitation, so you try to copy someone or
mm,
something. Most rulers wish to emulate Alexander the Great. Well, I don't know about that. So it's similar to imitate, but it's about
okay.
trying to equal someone's best or perhaps be better than them. That's the idea, really, I suppose. That's a good point they bring up there. Trying to be similar to somebody else or better. There we go. So
Oh,
emulate.
emulate. Okay.
And maybe that word there I noticed.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. This
it came up last time, I think. This is elsewhere in this pasta, isn't it? So divulge. Divulge.
divulge.
That's it. Yeah. And what
To
does it mean?
divulge. Yeah, it was probably before. Yeah, we
Hmm.
read it last week. And yeah, divulge it is means that someone uh, ask you to keep in secret something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So if it's not
Mm,
divulged, then that would be keeping something secret. Yeah, that's it. But if you divulge something, that's saying something. Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
not
Yeah.
is the
Okay.
secret. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Not.
You've
Yeah.
got it.
It's yeah. Oh. How can I understand softness? It is, yeah, if from soft, yeah, soft,
Yeah, soft. Yeah. So softened. This is softened.
softened.
Softened. So I made a sandwich a little while ago, but the butter was just too hard. I need to soften it, and I softened it by putting it in under I put some warmth. I warmed it up a little bit, and that softened it. Softened. Yeah. So I made it soft
Mm,
by warming it up, the butter.
okay, okay.
But here he's got his. So I had just softened the blow of my next move. So when he says blow, he means the hit or surprise. So I think there's this idea of them playing chess together, and he's by saying something or not or doing something, he's softened the blow. He's made the hit not so bad on him. That's what he's saying there, I think, in this chess game that they're sort of
Mm,
playing by these names.
okay.
Some strange chess game. Let me read this a bit to you, and then maybe you can read it back. So there's a few words here
Yeah.
which I think you are going to say that's a bit tricky, maybe. So it concerns the middle game, and the middle game here we think is that chess, the middle part of a chess game, not the beginning of the chess game, not the end, but the bit in the middle.
Mhm.
Surprise, surprise. So it concerns the middle game in particular. But I was thinking that we hadn't got there yet. So I just moved the knights and the bishops forward. So, so I just moved the knights and the bishops forward. So you'll go on that little bit there, maybe.
It concerns the middle game in particular, but I was thinking that we hadn't got there yet, so I just moved the knights and b bishops forward.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. That's pretty good. Yeah. So knights and bishops. Yeah. Sorry about that. That's
Knights. It is so similar like a knight. Yeah, knights.
Hmm.
Mm.
So these are the knights who ride on horseback and they wear armor and they have a sword and a lance, maybe. So hundreds of years ago, we had people who were called knights and they were fighters, a kind of fighter. Does that make sense? A knight?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Great, great. Anything else there? Anything else there?
I think yeah, that's it.
Maybe that one word, those two or three words there. So that
Okay.
a bit I've highlighted. So it's an Anglicism. Anglicism.
Oh, it's an Anglicism. It
That's
is
it.
an yeah.
Anglicism. So
Anglicism.
Anglicism. That's it.
Anglicism.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So if something's an Anglicism, it's something that's come from the English language, and maybe in another language. So in French, they have there are some words which are from English, and they're called Anglicisms.
Okay.
Okay, that's an Anglicism, or an idea might also be an idea or a way of doing things as an Anglicism. Let's bring the dictionary up, see what it says. So Anglicism, noun, a word or phrase that is peculiar to British English. Then it's an example, I think, here. It says, this new autobiography is studied with Anglicisms like lorries, plimsolls, and doing a bunk. So words like a lorry, I guess that's an Anglicism, something we use just in Britain or England, whereas other nations don't use it. I think in America, do they use 18 wheelers they might talk about? I don't know what to talk about. And we talk about plimsolls in England, and in America they might say trainers, or elsewhere might say trainers. So there's words that we use, but
Hmm.
others have other meanings effectively for them. So that's Anglicism. Okay, that's great. That's very good. Does anyone else have any questions about this thing, this little bit we just read here? Any other questions about this thing?
Mm.
Anyone else? Why you guys yeah, you carry on, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just would like to recap a little bit
Hmm.
the meaning, what I understand of this page. It is looks like yeah, they are were playing in a chess game, yeah,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they just whilst they were playing, they talking about some uh, um, po
Writers.
some poets, yeah, poets.
Poets and writers, yes. Sort of. What I think they're doing, I don't think they're really playing a game of chess. I think it's sort of like if you remember the second story we read, and they played a game of chess there in that same story, but it wasn't a real game of chess. It was in the game of chess they were playing was in their minds. I think it's the same sort of
Okay.
thing here. It's another game of chess, but it's with um, famous Russian writers. They're moving the famous Russian writers around this board in their heads. I say Russian, but like, that's not entirely true, is it? Because Borges is. Latin American. And I think this guy is, did it say Latin American? And I think this guy is French, French Argentinian, I think. Does it say? English Iron? No, it's another person. That's a completely different person. And of course, Kafka, that came up. Kafka, I should say. He's of course the Czech who wrote in Russian. No, German, I should say. German. But I think just sort of moving. It's sort of a kind of a. It's this business about the magical realism. It's sort of magical because you can't really play a game of chess with writers, can you? I don't think you can. Maybe you can.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of fantasy in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he mentioned some other writers too. So Marquez, s- along with this other chap, I should let that come up, really, shouldn't I? And Borges as well. So those two writers, they're also from Latin America, and I think their work is sort of a bit like they're writing from the point of view of the downtrodden people who live there and the incoming colonial powers sort of abusing the people who lived, the simple people who lived there, sort of a thing. Does that make sense? Oh, so it says this chap's Argentinian as well. It says here. We probably could write that. So let's scroll on to the next one. Oh, Ruslan left the class and come back in again now. So let's let Ruslan back in. So, so Carlo, are you still with us, Carlo? Because it's your go now. Carlo?
Yes, and Mia.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Okay. So that black box is the list of attendees. So we missed out this last bit here. So I just read that to
Yes.
you, and then it's over, and I'll turn the page over, and it's your go, Carlo. So Satanic Verses. So this is the bit about Rushdie. This is the British writer.
Mm,
So I said all
yeah.
Russians. They're clear, not all Russians, are they? So the Rushdie, the British writer, said this is his book here. So Satanic Verses. I've heard of it, but not read it. So now it's your go over here. So you better read off.
Mhm. So you better you're better off reading Midnight's Children, poetry in prose. Luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavor, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole book conveying the quintessence of India. Yes, you're right. After reading it, any desire you had of going there just vanishes. Who else? Orhan Pamuk. Of course, we're in Turkey, after all. But what about the Nobel Committee? I made an exception in his case. Intriguing collection. Who, then, is your queen? Recently, I've been whiling away my nights with Murakami. How detached I've become from life. Another great man of letters, and his time Japanese. Anyway, we've got to our destination. You can't go any further. I looked around. We were standing not far from a colossal tower with battlements, between which I could easily imagine archers hiding, with arrows resting on taut bowstrings. The tower looked like one of those rocks with which, as I thought, I had managed to checkmate the Grand Master. Across Waterfield moat was a bridge, which would inevitably have to be drawn up just as soon as my interlocutor entered the tower. Eva, Eva was snuffling, peacefully on my shoulder. The writer pointed to her. What a pity nobody overheard the extraordinary conversation I would like to have had with you. It doesn't matter. Nothing lost. Nothing's lost. I'm glad it turned out as it did. Who minds that we never actually knew each other? that there were no circumstances under which you could have recognized me, and that if we had met today, we would have gone our separate ways at the first turning, instead of which I am now having an imaginary dialogue with myself out of one of my own self-instructional book of inspiration.
And that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
So, anything to ask about that there? That reading there?
Uh,
Good reading, I should say. Good reading.
Thanks. So whiling, I don't know the meaning. Whiling or wheeling.
Whiling. That's it,
Whiling
whiling.
away. Whiling away.
Um, so let me just click on it, bring up the
Yeah.
definition. So, while, noun, a period of
Mm.
time. An example would be we chatted for a while. She retired a little while ago. So it's like while, basically comes from while.
Mm.
Um, so literary. During the time that, during the time that, beseeching him, the while his hands wrung. So it's just really about, I can't really find a useful definition here. So it's just a way of emphasizing time is passing. It's a way of saying that time is passing. So you might while away the time doing some meaningless little
Mm.
game that you just to burn away the hours, in effect. That's almost what it's referring to.
Mm.
A
Okay, okay,
pointless doing of
understood.
something, perhaps.
Right.
That's part of the idea, I would say.
Bowstrings. Bowstrings are weapons.
It could, yes, it could well be, yeah. So
Mm.
he's talking about archers. So an archer is an art
Mm-hmm.
a bow. The an archer's weapon is a bow, bow, and there are strings on a bow. That's right, yeah, or a string on a bow, I should say. And there is this word here, so that's the word taut. So stretched or pulled tight. If something is stretched or pulled tight, you can say it's taut. Something is tight, it's taut. And a bowstring would normally be tight, of course. And this word here, I can't remember how you said it now. So this is rooks. Rooks.
Rooks.
Yeah,
I don't
that's it.
know.
So this is a chess piece. This is one of there's four chess pieces called rooks.
Sorry? Come again, please.
So the game of chess that you
Mm-hmm.
play on a chessboard, so there's pawns,
Ah, okay.
queens, kings, knights.
Yeah.
One piece is called a rook.
Rook.
A
Ah,
rook.
good.
It doesn't mention it there. So is a rook a knight? Is the rook the castle? I think the
The
rook is the
rook.
castle, isn't it? I can't remember. So I don't play chess very often, clearly.
I don't know. I can't
It's one of the
play
pieces in the game
the
of
chess.
chess.
Yeah.
It looks like it's the rooks looks like a tower with
Yes.
Mm,
Like a
okay.
small castle sort of a thing. A
Yeah.
stone castle. That's it, or tower, I should say. That's it.
A fort.
Yes, that's it. That's
Mm-hmm.
the piece that does
Mm.
that, yes.
Moat. Water-filled moat.
Yeah, so if you have a castle, often there's water around it, like something like a river going all the way around a
Mm.
castle to protect it. That's the moat.
Yeah. The
But
moat.
it's man-made normally, of course.
Mm.
Not-
Yeah.
So the moat is the sort of the river going around a castle.
Okay. So
Okay, great. Is that
Yeah,
most of it, you think? Um, s- I remember when you said this word, it didn't sound fully right, I don't think. So I would say this is inimitable. Inimitable.
inimitable.
Yeah, that's right. So,
I said inimitable.
oh, right, okay. So it's something inimitable, and the dictionary comes up. It's so good or unusual as to be impossible to copy. It was
Yeah,
so good you can't copy it. So
it's the same in Italian.
yes, great, isn't
In
it?
Italian is inimitabile.
Ah, and now we know where it comes from. And is this Greek or Latin? So this is we say this is quintessence.
Yeah,
Quintessence.
it is quite the same in Italian. It is the core of something, the most
Oh, the
important thing, the most deep and the most
yes, that's it.
the
Yes,
most
same meaning.
important. Yeah.
That's it. Same meaning, I
Hmm.
think, pretty much. And this is another writer. This is another
Yeah,
writer.
Murakami.
Yes, a
I, I
Japanese
I
one.
I know him.
Ah, okay.
I received a book,
Yes.
uh, but I didn't have time to read it yet. Yes,
Yes.
but I received a book of him uh, 3 or 4 years ago uh, during my one of my birthday.
Good. It sounds like a
Yeah.
good choice. As you say, I have to get round to it, I think.
I like Japanese culture, and so a friend of mine uh, gave me this book.
He gave
I
you
can't
that book.
remember the title, but uh, it is one of the book that I have to read in the next future. Yeah.
It's one of your future books to read. Okay, I've got you.
Mhm.
Okay, so anything else?
Okay.
So that was it. That's all I really noticed. That was good. So it might be worthwhile perhaps reread if I read this little bit here to you.
Hmm.
Um, Hammock. Let's see if I can read it reasonably well to Murakami. Maybe if I read that bit there, and then you
Hmm.
have another go or another read. So what I noticed when you're reading is that it wasn't universal, but definitely more so at the beginning. As you tended to rush the first part of the word, you give a lot
Mm.
of emphasis to the first part of the word, and then sort of tailed off at the end of the word.
Yeah.
And you did it quite a lot, but I think you did it more at the beginning than at the end. So you sort of, it almost as if you calmed down a little bit, or maybe it's just that I just got used to it. Maybe it was that, to be honest. So let me just reread this bit, maybe, or I'll read part of this anyway. So I'll try and make as few mistakes as I can. Here we go. So you're better off reading Midnight's Children. And just to say, you're better off reading Midnight's Children. Midnight's Children is probably the other great book that Rushdie is known for, and that probably is a better book. In fact, I think better than the other one. So this is the book to read. So you're better off reading Midnight's Children. Poetry in prose, luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavour, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder. The whole book conveying the quintessence of India. So my voice was going up and down over the course of the sentence, particularly when I could see a word that was coming up that I thought was interesting or meaningful or had the most meaning in that sentence. I sort of went up for that particular word, then down again to give emphasis to that one word. And so, own inimitable flavor, that seems to be the perhaps one of the key things there, I suppose. So this book, Midnight's Children, I guess this, I suppose he's describing it, so you could perhaps pick out any one of these words which was important to you if perhaps you'd read the book and you thought, oh, it was the poems that really got me. So, or the poetic feel of the writing. So if it was you, you might want to emphasize perhaps poems in that case. Or maybe it was just the idea that somehow the book Midnight's Children somehow really gave you the feeling of India, and you've been to India, and it spoke to you of India, the whole book, sort of a thing. And so maybe that's the idea you want to emphasize, in which case you might really put extra weight behind it then. So in which case, if that was the case for you, it was India you really wanted to get over. You might read it so this way. So each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole book conveying the quintessence of India. So I've overdone it there a little bit, I suppose. But the thing here is, of course, I know that India's coming at the end because I've read it before. But if you haven't read it before, that's the trick, really. So have a guess what's happening coming up. So do you fancy just rereading that bit there, or maybe a little bit further on?
Yeah.
So Dolores, we've really kept you hanging on. I hope you're still with us. So when Carlo is done, then it's over to you. So sorry about the delay. So it's over to you again, Carlo. Sorry about that.
Uh, from the beginning, Tony.
Well, maybe just the first couple of paragraphs, or
Okay.
whatever you think, really.
All right,
So
all right.
we'll give it another
So,
go.
you better off reading Midnight's Children, poetry in prose. Luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavor, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole book conveying the quintessence of India. Yes, you're right. After reading it, any desire you had of going there just vanishes. Who else? Ortan Pamuk. Of course, we're in Turkey after all. But what about the Nobel Committee? I made an exception in his case. Intriguing collection. Who, then, is your queen?
Okay, let me stop you there. That's
Yeah.
great. That's really good. Um, you weren't so good in the first bit, but when you got down to here, yes, and down to about there, you were a lot better there. I thought somehow. So me talking about this bit here seemed to make it harder for you. So you were better from here on down, I noticed. So I like that. That was good. I like that. So let me reread this bit to you, and then maybe
Mhm.
you can have one go again, or another go, I should say. So this is my interpretation of it, and maybe I'm wrong, of course. So there's other ways of reading this. So yes, I really like how you did that. So yes, you're right. Really liked how you did that. So that was very well good. So let me just read the thing then. So yes, you're right. After reading it, any desire you had of going there just vanishes. Who else? Orhan Pamuk. Of course, we're in Turkey after all. But what about the Nobel Committee? I made an exception in his case. Intriguing collection. Who then is your queen? I think you probably read it better than I did, actually.
No, I don't think so.
No, no, I think you did actually. You read that bit better than I did. I messed that up right badly. Yeah. So I was over trying and I just got it completely wrong. That's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was very good what you did. Your second bit was very good, I thought. Yeah. But so the one problem that I think came up previously, last time you were here, and this time, is that you do rush the first parts of the word.
Mm,
There's the same sort of a lilt that you might have in Italian. You're transferring that into English, I think, and
mm.
it just isn't that way, of course, really. Um, so maybe just practice this first part again. So the first paragraph here. So you're better off reading Midnight's Children. Poetry in prose, lux poetry in prose, luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavor, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, The whole book conveying the quintessence of India. So maybe over to you again. That's okay.
So, yeah. You're better off reading Midnight's Children, poetry in prose, luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavor, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole
Hmm.
book conveying the quintessence of India.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's your best one, I would say. That's your best one
Mm.
so far. Yeah, definitely very good. Um, yeah, yeah, I felt there was almost like a conversation going on there. That was good. I think you really got that over quite well. But I suppose it's practice which will really make the difference. That will really bed it in for you, I guess. And only in an hour, well, less than an hour, 10, 20 minutes, we can't really do that very well, I suspect. It's very good. Very good.
Thanks.
Nothing else to say about that, really. Does anyone else have any questions or anyone else have anything they want to ask about that?
No.
No. Oh, Dolores has gone, I see. So I just brought up the names and I see, sorry, not Dolores, Dolores. Dolores has gone, I see. Sorry about that, Dolores. Obviously you had to go because of the time.
She's gone.
Yes,
Why?
yes. Well, normally the class is about an hour long, and of course this is now an hour
Mm,
and 10 minutes or 5 minutes or
oh,
something. So she had to go, I guess. That's okay. So maybe I'll send her the link or something to the class. Hopefully that'll be it.
all right.
So with that phrase there, what do we think the whole story was about? What do you see this as now?
The story?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
we've read mo the whole thing now. We didn't read the first couple of pages, but I gave you an overview, hopefully, some sort of an overview of it.
mm.
So does it make any sense to you, the story? Do you have any feel for it? Or sometimes you're looking at the words so intensely you don't really get the feel of the story. I think that's one thing that happens, isn't it?
It seems to be a dialogue between
Hmm.
two two people.
Yes, that's that. Yes.
They're talking about writers, books, stories,
Hmm. Hmm.
and which is their favorite.
Yes.
Um, I think it is not an easy reading, this one. Uh,
To
as,
understand it, you mean,
as
or
far
the
as I'm
words?
concerned, no, I understand quite everything, but mm, it is how the sentences
Hmm.
are constructed, are,
Yes.
are shaped.
Yes.
It's a sentence in a phrase, no? In Italy, we say a Ciceronic period, a Ciceronic way to write. Yes,
Oh,
very complex, not easy to read, to understand. Um,
yes.
yes,
No, no, it could be. They're complicated. So this
mm,
is a complicated ideas. It's trying to get over complicated ideas,
yeah,
isn't it? I think. Yes.
many
Yeah.
foreign names,
Mm. Tricky.
and so you have to switch to English to English from English to another language. For
Hmm.
example, names, Japanese names, Turkey
Hmm.
names,
Turkish. Yeah.
and that makes things uh, more complex, more
Mm.
difficult
Because it flicks your
to
mind into the
yeah
wrong language.
to follow.
Yes.
Yes, but this is my humble point of view.
And the other thing to bear in mind is what I started off with saying. There's really all of these stories, I think, are on this idea of magical realism. So it's the real world, but impossible things happen in it.
Mm.
So I don't know what you think of this, Michael, but I think you looked at this before. I'm pretty sure you did. this last paragraph here at the very end, it's sort of, to me at least, it answers lots of questions. It probably asks lots of questions too. So it answers questions and it creates questions as well. So maybe if I just reread this little bit here and you sort of mull it over a little bit and think about the meaning of the ideas rather than the pronunciation or anything. So it finishes off with this. So it says, "It doesn't matter. Nothing's lost. I'm glad it turned out as it did. Who minds that we never actually knew each other? That there were no circumstances under which you could have recognized me, and that if we had met today, we would have gone our separate ways at the first turning, instead of which I am now having an imaginary dialogue with myself out of one of my own self-instructional books of inspiration." So what does this last bit, what does it mean to this whole thing? Anyone really, perhaps? It's an interesting idea because it's that there is one whole sentence, which is very unusual in English to have so many words in one sentence without a full stop. And so I ran out of breath by the end. So who minds that we never actually knew each other? Well, hold on. They met, they had a discussion, they seemed to know each other's names, so they did, of course they met, they did know each other. That there were no circumstances under which we could have recognized, under which you could have recognized me. Well, they did recognize each other, didn't they? So what does he mean? There were no circumstances under which you could recognize me. And that if we had met today, well, they had met. Well, they did meet. How can you say if you had met? You see, if we had met today, well, they did meet. You can't say if, it really happened. Oh, but this is magical realism, isn't it? The whole thing is magical realism. It's sort of real and it's unreal at the same time. But what I take out of this last little paragraph here is this bit here at the end, and maybe I'm misunderstanding this bit, but it seems to say to me, well, this is what it says. I am now having an imaginary dialogue with myself out of one of my own self-instructional books of inspiration, if I didn't misread that. So I'm wondering really if this conversation, this dialogue he had with his interlocutor, he's got that word up there, interlocutor, he's really having a conversation with himself. He's talking to himself. It isn't, there's nobody else there. It's him talking to himself. So in a way, isn't that exactly magical dialogue? Because as Michael pointed out last week, we do have conversations with ourselves. That's not magical. That's perfectly normal. So what do you think about that? Is that what is happening here? Is he having a conversation with himself?
Yeah, I
Yes, because
think,
Mhm. Sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Carla.
No, 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 you first, sorry. Because
So you're so polite.
I've been
Speaking.
speaking
Mm,
till now, and so your turn.
mm,
Your
So
turn, Mike.
I think it's definitely was imaginary dialogue,
mm,
and the main character, as you said, we had many assumptions last week about this dialogue,
mm,
uh, but I think it's definitely imaginary dialogue,
mm.
and mm, about his future. Either he will be a writer or he won't be a writer in future, continue this
Ah,
profession.
mm,
Maybe another person was uh, someone very famous writer. Maybe he create some dialogue with, I don't know, Mm, mm.
Two characters.
Yes, to some famous writers who
Mm,
example for them. Uh, imagine a dialogue with someone. What what would be said, for example, Chekhov, Tolstoy, or
mm,
Guy de Maupassant, if I ask him about my future, about my prose, about my poetry, maybe,
mm,
and he call them grandmaster. So grandmaster, it's like someone who reach in this context, someone who reach top uh, or high level in literature
mm.
area. Some famous world famous author, maybe.
So that's interesting. So you think it might be a case of him having a conversation with Chekhov or Tolstoy, and what
Chekhov
would
or
he say?
Kafka,
Yeah.
or
Mm.
Japanese writer
Oh yeah, Murakami.
Mar
Yeah.
Murakami. Yeah, so maybe he
Ah, yeah, that's possible, isn't it? That's interesting. So he might imagine himself as Marquez or one of his other people, and he's having an imaginary conversation with himself as Chekhov or Tolstoy. Oh, that's interesting. And I really liked what you said about what is he going to do in the future. It's thinking about what he's going to do. And you said last week that's what Eva represents. So Eva is his child, a sleeping child at that. So she's asleep virtually the whole time, isn't she? Sleeping on his shoulder, and then she never says anything the whole way through. And you say
Yes.
that represents him in the future, and children do represent you in the future, don't they? That's exactly it. I think that's very clever. That very interesting.
Hmm.
Um, do you have any additional points to that, Carlo or Ruslan?
No, no, I was. It is all clear to
It's
my
clear. Oh,
perception.
brilliant.
Yeah, it's clear because you are able to make us understand everything, let us understand everything, and so
Okay.
it is good to level up with this kind of dialogue, with this kind of reading. It is what I need
All right. That's
uh,
good.
for myself. Uh, I have been wondering if you could let us
Wondering.
read, wondering,
Yeah.
yes, let us read maybe for the next time,
Mm.
maybe some, I don't know, some article or some book about the idiomatic way to speak in English. For example, I just finished to read a book about simple English idioms. It is called
Idioms. Mm.
idioms, yeah, sorry.
Simple English
Uh,
idioms.
yeah, sort of, for example, barking up to the wrong tree, bite off
Okay.
more than you can chew,
Yes. There is a lot
and
of them, an
break
awful
the
lot of them.
ice, and so by the
Oh,
skin of your
brilliant.
teeth, uh,
Yes.
cut me some slack, no things like that, because I attended
Ah,
to an English course.
yes. Oh, you
Uh,
mentioned that. Yes, you
they
did.
let
Yeah.
me in a B2 level Cambridge, but I understood that I have some speaking problems, especially when English people, because my teacher, uh, she is actually from Turkey, but she
Mm.
grew up in America, and so she's a native speaker, actually. But I understood that because I like to overhear when they when they speak
And they
to
chat
to each other. Yes, the teacher. I mean,
and they
the
talk to each
teachers.
other.
I mean,
Okay.
they use a lot of
Mm.
idiomatic way to speak,
Yes.
and I feel quite sad when I don't understand. But
It's not idiom.
I understood that they speak using this kind of speeching, no? This kind of chatting,
Talking, yeah.
talking, yes, thanks. And if you want, Tony, this is just my little request to you to just make
Idiom's
our,
clearer for you.
yeah, just to make your class, for me, for my point of view,
Yeah.
more practical in real
W-
speaking English.
You
But
mentioned that you just read a book on
it doesn't matter, it's
idioms.
up to you, this one, no?
So it's a difficult thing to do. So it's a bit bitty. It'll end up being a list of a whole series of a different just little phrases and then just
Mm,
giving the meanings of them, I would have
mm.
thought. So it'd be hard to
Okay.
do. So the book you just read on idioms,
Hmm.
is that a book which is online? Could we read that online, do you
Yeah, it's
think?
online, and
Oh, okay.
so
Mm,
I'm gonna give you the
a link
right
to it. Okay, yeah.
title and of course the writer, the name of the writer.
Hmm. Are you going to send it to me, are you?
Let me flick over the pages till the first one. Speak of the devil, so far so good. It's wonderful. Pull yourself together, pull someone's leg, on the ball, no pain, no gain, miss the boat. No, it's quite interesting.
And
I think,
a number of them will be American, a number will be British, some
yeah, yeah.
Australian.
We can,
If you go on walkabout, that's an Australian idiom.
Mm.
Go on walkabout.
Yes, but maybe you can choose the Britain's, the
British one,
English,
yeah.
yeah, the British, sorry, the British one. And so we can practice because I'm more interested in use